What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Epic Rides, brought to you by our friends at Fisher Powersports. Today we're going to pick up where we left off in the last episode, where I rode the Prime Meridian Trail from Argyle, Manitoba to Narcisse, and had a visit with exactly 1 gazillion horny garter snakes before heading back to Winnipeg. After meeting the crew in Narcisse, we backtracked a couple of kilometers to where we came off the trail last time. Since the last trip, I fitted a set of Michelin Anakee Wilds in a bid to improve the on- and off-road handling of my trusty 2022 KLR 650, which I've affectionately nicknamed Donkey. My mission today is to finish out the Prime Meridian Trail. I'm super stoked to ride the second part of this trail. If it's anything like the first half, I'm expecting some moderately challenging riding, interspersed with some easy double track and great views of the Interlake region. I also expect to find many things to rant and rave about along the way. You know, as is my way. On this day, it was hot already around 30 degrees Celsius, and it was still morning. With the humidex, it was somewhere approaching the heart of the Amazon, on a hot day. The kind of heat where the thought of riding buck naked seems almost like a good idea, until you consider what an off into the gravel would feel like. The thought of cheese gratering one's gentleman sausage along the ground at 60 kilometers an hour in an uncontrolled slide is just, awful. On that disturbing mental image, let's move along. Alright, here we go. The trail starts off fairly simply. All you budding ADV riders out there will enjoy getting the tires dirty and learning a little bit about your suspension. There are enough bumps along the trail that you'll be able to figure out if your settings are correct. Most ADV bikes have adjustable rear suspension, if not adjustable forks. In the case of my KLR, I've only got adjustability on the rear suspension, so I'll focus on that for a quick second. Suspension specifications are chosen by the manufacturer for the average rider's weight. But here's the thing. The average American or Canadian male weighs a fluffy 200 pounds versus the 156 pounds and 127 pound averages found in Europe and Asia. Because these two continents make up the largest motorcycle markets, OEM suspension specifications are set in their favor. This means that straight out of the factory, chances are your suspension is set far too soft. Because of the cost of custom suspension, your average rider, much like myself, can't afford to customize every motorcycle. The other less expensive but highly valuable option is to have your suspension tuned by a pro. Now, if you can't afford this option, or the custom suspension option, you should at a bare minimum set the sag on your stock suspension for the actual payload. The payload, that's you, and your luggage, and any pillion rider or double base you choose to bring on your ride. I'm not going to get too far down the rabbit hole here on how suspension works, but basically sag is how much the suspension compresses under the combined weight of the bike and its payload. As the payload compresses the suspension, it reduces the remaining suspension travel available. So, we readjust the spring preload to the change in payload because we want to keep the sag constant. A good starting point is to preload the springs to the point where the rider's sag amounts to 30% of suspension travel. Properly setting your sag will improve balance, increase tracking, and maximize stability under acceleration and braking. You will also notice better performance over bumps and ruts. I can't tell you how much to adjust your suspension, but there's a multitude of answers for your specific bike only a Google search away. Now, back to the trail. Back on the Prime Meridian Trail. No idea what this trail's going to look like. But this time we're finishing her off. We're going all the way to Fisher Branch. We got the new Anakee Wilds on here. Woohoo! All I can say about these Anakee Wilds is that, whoa, jeez. This shouldn't say anything. No, they're good. They're confidence inspiring. As long as you don't come in too hot like I just did. Of course, that'll probably look totally flat, but whatever. It is a hot one today. Holy. So yeah, this trail, she's flat. After a relatively easy start, the trail, which remember is an old rail bed running through the marsh and wetland in many spots, gets really muddy before you come across a huge expanse of water. Choices time here, kids. On my ride, this section was deep but passable. In wetter years, this could be the end of your ride. Or at very least, you'll have to backtrack and ride up to the town of Chatfield to reconnect with the trail. As you're about to see, I made the decision to attempt to cross the water, which I accomplished. However, it was the muddy ruts and inexperience waiting for me on the other side of the big crossing that bit me in the ass. Caution ahead. Right. Huge puddle. Oh, another huge puddle. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, look, garbage. Okay, how bad could this be? Not bad. What about the next one? All right, doing stupid shit with motorcycles. Take one. You recording?
I'm now.
All right. God hates a coward. Here we go. What could possibly go wrong? So, what happened here? I got up on one side of a rut, but felt like the bike was starting to go over on my right, so I overcompensated, and dropped the bike on my left. Damn. I'm learning off-roading lessons one stupid mistake at a time. This time around, dropping the bike netted me some bent bars, a dent in the fuel tank, and a slightly bruised ego. Definitely could have been worse. I won't make the same mistake next time. I mean, I'll definitely continue to find new and hilarious ways to fall off my motorcycle, but it won't be exactly like this time. So after picking turf, mud, and bits of bog out of my handguards, bash plate, and nostrils, I carried on to Chatfield, and then, upon discovering a small but friendly town where I had a couple of great conversations with locals I completely neglected to film due to the overwhelming professionalism I exhibit on this channel weekly, I continued up the trail. North of Chatfield, and according to one resident, the trail spent 2 years underwater and was completely impassable until the local ATV club came in with a metric ass load of gravel and raised the flood-prone sections.
Oh, stick. Well, so I went through a rocky patch that, of course, I didn't film, but Anakee Wilds, just hold on. A little squirrely through there, but it's a lot of soft gravel with kind of big rocks. Worked out. That's all that matters. And we'll see what happens down this way. Hopefully there's nothing too crazy. Going back to my beginner trail thing. I don't know. I don't know if this would be considered a beginner trail or not. It's not without its challenges, I will say that. Dragonfly just hit me. Poor bugger. Looks like they built this up too. Yeah, just take it easy. There, this is that rocky shit. This seems a little bit more packed than the other stuff was. That must be Deep Lake there. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of cool. Maybe there's a better view. Maybe it's just wetland. So, according to the dude I was talking to earlier, this was all underwater a couple of years back. Unpassable. I mean, I'll say this. You can get through here now. Well, so far. But barring any surprises, be it the road or Pennywise from it popping out with a balloon, or some random pervert hillbilly. I don't know why that's my fear whenever I do these kinds of adventures. I'm going to run into basically deliverance, which is so patently unfair to so many people, but yeah, Anakee Wilds. Oops. Yeah, we'll stay in the dirt, or in the rut. Ow.
These sections were great, but the gravel is soft, so be aware that the front end can let go in a hurry if you aren't paying attention. From there, the trail got firm and scenery was fantastic as I bombed my way towards Fisher Branch.
I don't think there's any way I've done 22 kilometers yet.
I wasn't sure what the end of the trail was going to be like, but after my adventures on the trail, I kind of felt like I should end up crossing a finish line, with a ribbon and maybe somebody releasing 1,000 Kawasaki green balloons into the air, followed by a podium, a comically large bottle of champagne, and, oh, I don't know, let's say a media junket. Instead, the trail just kind of ends. It ends at a chained gate, or at least it did on this ride. Maybe the gate was only temporarily closed because the military uses the rest of the trail for bombing run practice. Or maybe it's just private property, and the owner just doesn't want a bunch of off-roaders molesting his cows. Next time I ride this section, I guess I'll find out. However, for the purpose of this video, we're going to call the trail complete.
That might have been it. Huh. Looks like we're done. I'd say that's it. Let's get a picture. We finished the trail. Woohoo! So it's 168-ish kilometers. No, 116 kilometers. We did about 70 today. That was awesome. Ha! Time for a cup of coffee. And we're done. That's the end.
As I was quite close to Fisher Branch, I figured I'd ride into town real quick to go check out the giant wheel monument.
We're at 14.5
The story of the giant wagon wheel in Fisher Branch was left here by aliens. That's the story. Hope you enjoyed.
Okay, so it may not have been deposited by aliens. While I haven't seen definitive proof, I won't rule out that the wheel, at 7.6 meters high, or 57.5 Freedom units for my American viewers, and weighing in at 2,800 kilograms, or 6,173 pounds, symbolizes the historical role Fisher Branch played as the hub of the Interlake during the early 1900s, and is a visual representation of the town's motto, a community reinventing the wheel. All I know is Alien Artifact is a far more entertaining thing to tell people on the internet, of whom the stupidest of which will believe me, and hopefully I'll have started the next conspiracy theory. Maybe we can somehow tie this in with what flat earthers believe despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. That would be fun. After viewing the giant wheel for a minute, I jumped on the KLR and headed back down the 17 and back home. Another ridiculous adventure complete. On the way home, I encountered some crazy rainstorms, but again, due to a staggering level of unprofessionalism, I didn't film them. And because there's no video evidence, I was also abducted briefly by the wheel depositing aliens. Turns out they're the ones that faked the moon landing on behalf of the US government. Who knew? Anyways, I truly hope you enjoyed this week's video. And if you did, please take a minute to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon thingy so you get notified when the next video comes out. I'm trying to grow this channel, and every subscribe and like helps me do just that, so thank you in advance. And thank you to those of you who have already done so. Finally, thank you to all of you for watching, and remember to explore always. Peace.